All right, cool. What's up, guys? So, I'm gonna give you guys the analysis, the breakdown of gold and US30. I'm gonna give you guys the analysis, pretty much what I'm expecting or anticipating for the market to do for these next couple of days. Now, what I really want to point out is this week, right? This week we are gonna have a holiday, which is Christmas, right? We're gonna have it on the 24th and on the 25th as well. This week, I can pretty much say that the market is not going to be as aggressive, as you usually do, due to the fact that obviously we're coming into holidays market, right? So usually we're not going to see the market as much volatile as usually we do, right? The market is pretty much going to be ranging due to bank holidays, due to the holidays as well, right? So I'm just going to give you guys the analysis on what, pretty much I'm anticipating for the market to do for either, tonight, tomorrow, and Tuesday as well. Setups that I'm probably going to be taking as well with the VIP group, right? Now, since we are coming into holidays market, right, this is where I pretty much recommend you guys to obviously risk lower than what you usually do, right? Because again, we are coming into holidays market. Market is going to be very, very slow. So if you guys do enter a position, right, obviously risk more lower than what you usually guys risk. So I'm going to start off the analysis with gold. I'm going to give you guys pretty much the breakdown of what I'm anticipating for the market to do for these next couple of days. So first thing, what I really want to point out with gold is going to be the overall trend, right? So we're going to go into the daily time frame, right? I pretty much want you guys to understand the market trend at the moment, right? Look at the previous market trend right over here, and then notice this trend over here, right? Asking you guys a question: what do you guys think the market trend is at the moment, right? We went from higher highs to higher lows, breaking down the structure, creating lower lows, right? We have this lower highs over here. These highs over here are lower than the previous ones over here, which obviously makes it as a lower high. Now, I want you guys to focus on these lows over here compared to the previous week lows over here, right? Which one is going to be higher? Obviously, in this case, these are going to be the higher lows over here, right? We have this push to the upside, a high, and then a higher low formed, right? These are going to be the two zones or multiple zones that we're going to be looking at, right? We also have these zones over here, which is an area of support which price action is currently trading under at, right? So last week in the market, right, we obviously we did see aggressive push to the downside, breaking under areas of support, right? So we go into the 4-hour time frame. You guys can see from the market open from last week, right, which was somewhere over here, we started breaking under structure from this high, this low, this lower high, this lower low, right? So obviously whenever price is heading to a downside, we obviously are creating lower lows and lower high, breaking under areas of support, which obviously turns into areas of resistance, right? So obviously once we get those pullback, those areas of support, we usually wait for retest and wait for price action, to obviously have those rejection and remaining stuff under, right? Obviously the idea, once price action comes into the zone, we usually start looking for sales position, right? Now what I want you guys to point out this moment is these zones over here, which is roughly around the 2630, right? We did see already price action did reject, and obviously we did see a push to the downside, right? Now what I really don't like about these zones over here, this is a zone where you guys got to be very patient, right? Because this is a very obvious push, right? A very obvious move, right? Usually the market, it's not all thing about obvious, right? Usually whenever it comes into an area of support, usually the idea is to sell, right? But it's very, very obvious, which means that what is the probability of price rejecting that zone and then continue to the downside, or what is the price or probability of price, just keep pushing to the upside, probably have a switch of trend, or probably touching into another area of interest where we can probably start looking for the sells, right? Obviously the probability is going to be there. Now also, what I want to point out is these lows over here, what I was explaining, right? Notice how these lows are higher than the previous lows right over here, right? Obviously, this one over here makes it as a higher low, obviously on the higher time frame, right? Last week, we did come into these lows over here, and if you guys look left, you guys can see it was a previous area of support. Our previous area of resistance, right? We have resistance over here, which was once used as an area of support. Came back, retested on the lower time frame. We were using as an area of support. Once again, priced these previous lows over here, which once again it is holding as an area of support, right? From there on, we did see that price session, managed to remain itself above. Obviously, we did see a bullish push to the upside, right? Breaking above these previous highs over here, which was once used as a lower high, right? So when we started seeing the push to the downside, we got the pullback towards this area of support over here, which is roughly around the 2620, which, as you guys can see, price action did use it as an area of resistance. From there on, we started seeing push to the downside, right? Now let's focus at current price action, which is roughly around the 2624 at the moment, right? Here's a few things that I want to point out. on the lower time frame, right, we did see a bullish movement to the upside, right, which is a potential switch of structure, right. We did see a bullish push to the upside. We, obviously broke above those previous lower highs, which is now trading above it. At this point over here is a new higher high on the lower time frame. On the higher time frame, we are trading under an area of support, right. So this is where patience does plays a part. This is where we got to be very patient to mark up the right zone of interest to see how price action does react around those areas. So one of the areas of interest that I have marked up at the moment is at 2620, right? I want you guys to pay attention on these zones over here. This over here was previous area of resistance that obviously we did see that price action did reject these zones of support, right? But obviously since price action has broken above, right, what do we have here? We have these new highs, right? These are pretty much at higher highs. We have this pretty highs over here, and then on the next one we do have previous lower highs. We're trading above these zones over here. Yes, we are rejecting an area of support, which obviously, again, probabilities. We're gonna have to see what price action does around this area. But at this point, the main idea is to see how price action does react, right? We are currently seeing some perfect rejection towards the zone, which price action obviously on the lower time frame, we are holding it as an area of support, right? So the idea for today, right, or for tonight during the London session, pretty much I want to see how price action, we do get a pullback toward the 2620. I do want to see how price action does react. If obviously we do reject and remain itself above these zones over here, right, holding it as an area of support, then my idea or my buys, I'm going to continue looking for buy movements, right? Because again, we were bullish last week when we closed the market, right? This happened on Thursday. This was a Thursday move heading to the upside, breaking above all of these previous lower high structure, right? Well, obviously makes it as a bullish trend, breaking above all of the structure, having a switch of trend from obviously bearish to bullish. We're breaking above these previous highs over here, which is the main high at the 2620. At the moment, price action is currently holding it as an area of support. Price action does manage to pull back and rejects. Yes, I'm going to be looking for buy position to then target back into the previous high, which is going to be around the 2630. If price action does if price action does manage to break above the 2630, remain itself above the 2630, then obviously the next zone will be at the 2647, possibly at the 2650, which will be my final take profit, right? So those are the zone that I'll be interested in looking for buy position as long as price action can remain itself above the 2620, right? Now, for a very full switch of trend, right, from obviously, because if we go on the daily time frame, we're still kind of trading bearish due to the fact that we're trading under these zones of support / previous higher low, right? Now, give me 1 second. I think I disconnected. Never mind. So, like I was saying, right, on the daily time frame, we are currently still in a bear structure due to the fact that we're trading under this area of support. Where I can tell you guys, hey, price has already switched the structure from bearish to bullish, will simply be a break above the 2650, right? So if we do manage to see a bullish movement this week, right, we do see that price action does close above the 2620, right, or the 2650. Usually what we'll wait for to continue looking for buy movements will simply be a break and retest above these zones. This is the area that EMA can now be holding under, obviously using it as an area of support. And then from there on, those are more confirmation to start looking for more buy position to then target back into these previous highs over here, right, which is going to be roughly around the 2715. The only way that I'll be looking for buys at that point will be simply the break and retest above the 2650, right? If we do see those buy movement this week, then definitely a break and retest above the 2650 to then continue looking for buys to then target back into these highs over here, right? Only if we do see those reaction towards the 2620. Now, that's going to be option one, right? The game plan for number one if we do see those rejections, right? Now, since we are trading under these zones of support, which is the 2620, right? Since we are trading under these structure, right? We go on the 4-hour time frame, we are trading under these areas of support, right? You guys look left, what do we have? Support. We have these highs, we have these lows breaking under this structure. We are seeing already one rejection. Obviously, the rejection happened right over here at the market open. The only way that I'll be interested in selling at this point will be again at the 2620, right? So today area of interest is the 2620. Anything under the 2620, simply wait for the break and retest. If we break above or break under, simply wait for the pullback, retest of the structures over here. If it does manage to hold it under as an area of resistance, then we simply look for sells. At this point, the 30-minute EMA is obviously going to be trading above it, which obviously use it as resistance. This gives us a confirmation as well to continue selling the market. My targets will be back at these highs over here, right? This can be one target. The next one's going to be back under these lows over here, right? We're looking for sells only if price action does manage to break and retest under the 2620. Confirmation in this case case, right, will be obviously the rejection toward 2630, which is these zones of support. Second confirmation will be the break and retest under these structures over here, as well EMA trading under, and obviously the other confirmation is that all time frame is still trading at a bearish market, right? So if we do break under 2620, you guys are good to sell. If it does remain itself above it, we're gonna continue looking for buys. Now, for price action to continue this entire bearish trend to the upside, obviously what we do need to see is the break under these lows over here, which is roughly around the 2588. If price action does manage to break under the 2588, simply we'll wait for the break and retest. Same exact setup as the 2650, right? If price action breaks above here, this is where it can confirm us that, hey, bullish market is way stronger than the bearish market, which makes us more ideal to start looking for buy position from here back into these highs over here. Anything under the 2588, simply wait for the same setup, break and retest, and then my full target for the bearish market will roughly be back at the 2550, right? So it's pretty much the analysis, what I'm anticipating with gold to happen these next couple of days. So I want you guys to pay very, very close attention to the 2620, right? This is a zone that I'll be very interested in either looking for buys if it does remain itself above, or looking for sells if it breaks under. All right, so now moving forward with US30. So the beginning of this month of December, right, we started seeing a bearish market to the downside, right? Obviously, we did have the switch of structure. US30 have obviously been extremely bullish heading to the upside, creating higher highs and higher lows. We did form this new all-time highs around the 4,500, and from there on, this is where price action most likely had the switch of structure, right? Broke under these previous higher lows over here, which on the lower time frame, we did use it as lower highs. Same thing over here, we broke under these previous highs, which used it as a lower high, and from there on, price action started heading back into the downside. This week we did have, or last week we did have a major news, right? Obviously caused the market to bleed to the downside, breaking under all of these structures right over here. One of the zones that I want you guys to pay attention right now is at the 43,300 and then at the 42,757, right? Notice how we broke under these structures over here. This happened on Wednesday with the FOMC news, I believe it was, or Fed Powell, I believe it was some of those news. Completely forgot. But we did have a news event that obviously we did see an extreme bearish market with US30 and with the gold market as well. Now, the following day was very simple. This was a setup that we did catch with the VIP group, which was simply the break and retest, right? If you guys look left, you guys can see that we simply rejected these previous areas of support, which price action did use it as an area of resistance on the lower time frame, right? Now, I want you guys to notice 42,200, right? Notice how price action, once we did see this entire bearish push to the downside, we pretty much swept these lows over here. And if you guys look left, you guys can clearly see how price action did manage to remain itself above these areas of previous resistance, right? If you guys look left, you guys can also see how price action once again used it as an area of support. It was previous resistance, which price action comes back. We did sweep them. We did see a bullish reaction to the upside. And once again, we did see a push to the downside, remain itself above it, which pretty much it rejected, and from there on we did see a clearly bullish move to the upside, right? Now, what I do like about the lower time frame is how price action did break above these previous lower highs, right? Now, what do we have over here? We do have a new highs over here, which is most likely the higher highs on the lower time frame. Yes, we are trading under an area of support, right? We are seeing that price action is rejecting and trading itself under, right? But once again, this is where price action is very obvious that price, obviously the idea is for it to continue selling, right? So whenever it's obvious, it is very, this is where you got to be very patient, right? Because again, it does break under an area of support. We are seeing the rejection. Most likely whenever price is trading under support, we are looking for sells, right? But before we do see all the sells, there has to be more confirmation than just price action, tapping into the zones, right? So at the moment, we are seeing, those bearish reaction, right? We just see those rejection towards the upside. We are seeing that price action is trading itself under, right? Now, obviously, I'm not going to be interested in selling the market just yet because obviously we did touch the area of support, which is holding as resistance. I have to see more, reaction towards these zones over here. Let me just double check something. All right. We have to see more reaction towards these zones over here. Now, I want you guys to pay attention, 42,757, 42,760, which can be our area of interest. Yes, we broke above this previous lower high. We have this new higher high over here. This is a potential switch of structure, right? Notice we were in a bearish market creating these lows, lower highs, lows, highs, right? What do we need next? We need a higher low. right? So pretty much I'm anticipating for price action to give us a pullback towards the 42,800, 42,600 to see how price action does react towards these previous lower high. If it does manage to pull back and remain itself above these zones over here, then this will be the zone that I'll be most likely interested in looking for buy position to then target back into the 43,300, right? Now, if we don't get the pullback, but we do see a break and retest above the 42,300, then this will be another area of interest where I'll be most likely interested in buying the market, right? Start looking for buy position to then target back into any previous highs over here. For example, this over here can be one of the targets if it does break above. Second target can be somewhere around here, or possibly even back into these previous highs over here, right? So those will be the areas that I'll be interested in buying the market with US30, either pull back towards here or break and retest above the 42,300. Now, since we are rejecting towards this area of support, right? You guys can look left, it was an area of resistance. We are seeing an area of support over here, and we are also seeing an area of resistance over here. And we are seeing that price action obviously does manage to reject and remain itself under, right? The only way that I'll be interested in setting the market will simply be the break and retest under these structures right over here, right? Because obviously I'm waiting for confirmation to see how price action reacts over here or above over here. If we do see it clearly does remain and reject itself up under, then okay, cool. We'll simply wait for the break under these previous structures over here. If it does, simply wait for the break and retest, and then obviously we'll enter the sell position to then target back into these previous lows over here. Now, if the market is actually going to have a complete switch of structure, right, we simply wait for another break and retest under the 42,200 to see if price action can obviously hold it as an area of resistance. And if it does, obviously I'll be interested in selling more of the market and target back into any of these lows over here. This can be a target back at the 41,730, possibly even back at these lows over here at the 41,550, right? So that's going to be with US30.